whatever you know as a business person is limited. If you want to really give your business a shot at succeeding, understanding financial management is a must.
One of the goals of this episode is actually to help small, medium businesses.
I know that there has been a huge devaluation when it comes to Naira. The subsidy removal as well, which has had a ripple effect on the cost of doing business. But I'm also saying that this is actually the best time for you to move your business forward. How do you achieve that? First of all, you must have businesses that are somewhat successful in Nigeria don't get to scale.
Why?
They don't communicate with their business. I interact with a lot on a daily basis. They make money, but they don't become global brand. When there's effective communication, the relationship thrives, right? It's the same thing with business. If you communicate effectively with your business will thrive effortlessly.
What are some key metrics that they should be looking out for?
The first one is the actual profits, cash flow. We know that cash is king, and cash is the lifeline of any business that wants to continue to be in business. I once worked with a company. He raised $1 million. That company liquidated within a year.
Why? Welcome, guys. On today's episode, I'll be having someone that I think is actually multifaceted, really, because she's actually someone who is also trying to achieve impact while also pursuing a thriving business in the field of finance and consulting for businesses across various sectors. So that has made her actually multifaceted because she talks about industries with knowing the numbers and the economics on how they work. And I actually brought her on this episode because I felt like a lot of businesses need to understand the lifeblood of enterprise. And the lifeblood of enterprise, yes, I know people say it's people, but really we can't get those people in without the money. And that's what I actually want to talk about: the financial structures, the financial controls, the bad habits, the good habits to adopt, the ways for us to look at things. And we might even dive into some outlooks, for the coming year, and to look at ways whereby businesses can prepare and position themselves for what is to come. I might get her to talk about some things around the tax reforms and some other things that I think are personal to her and the work that she's doing, because she's also raising a new generation of accountants through the work that she does with techie accountants. So this particular episode actually promises to be very exciting, and I ask you to join me on this ride as I dive into the conversation with the one and only Toyin of Lefort. Toyin, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Prophet Elijah.
As I
fondly call you.
Okay, you fondly call me. I think because recently someone called me was trying to call me prophet, and the person called me prophet, and I said I think I like that.
So you prefer prophets to prophet?
Well, you can do the two. It depends on which setting.
No, I'll stick to my prophet.
Okay, that's fine.
I like my prophet.
Prophet is better.
Yes.
But I like prophets. So, but how do you, typically when someone sees you, all they think about is, to be sincere, when I think about it, the first thing that comes to my mind is techie accountant. And it seems not to be actually the way it's not the way you make money, it's actually the way you make impact. That's true. How do you define yourself now? Because I've also seen you become like a consultant to lots of businesses across various sectors and helping them navigate different times, different downtimes, uptimes, navigate even sales of businesses and structure themselves for acquisitions and mergers. So how do you define yourself right now, and what is the journey that led to that?
Okay. Thank you for that question. It's actually a tough question for me to answer, but I'll make an attempt. But I think the underlying factor for me is to make an impact in whatever I'm doing. So at Lefort Consulting, we provide consulting services to businesses, right? Okay. And the major drive for that is the impact. Like the times I'm happy or I'm the happiest is when we are able to help our clients, overcome stormy moments in their businesses, or help them make the right decision that positions them, in the right way in the future. I have a lot of examples, regarding that. And I'll tell you one. We have this client is a subsidiary of a French company, and I remember that they brought us on board. I think their second year in business in Nigeria. And when they brought us on board, the first thing they told us to do is to help them with their accounting. They really wanted to know their numbers, how well did we perform this year? And we did it. We did the analysis, we did the presentation. And, during the presentation, the group CEO was there. And I remember that he asked me that, does this company have a chance to succeed in Nigeria? Looking at the numbers, I just told him, I said, see, for a business that has just commenced and you are able to have a turnover of up to 600 million, it shows that you have
there's something there.
There's something substantial there. You have a huge market already. Not too many businesses can boast of that. Within their first year of business. But I also realized that when we did our analysis, also realized that they had high exposure to FX, and I remember that I asked that what could they do, to like protect themselves, and then there we gave them some very practical things that they could do. And they listened because they started the work 2 years ago. And this year, when the FX took a different turn, the most unexpected turn, because trust me, there's no economics that would have predicted
the level of
the level of depreciation we've experienced when it comes to the naira. So because they took that advice and they started working 2 years ago, so this year, what we told them to do had already commenced. So that's one of the reasons they are still in business. Wow. So assuming they did not listen, the truth is that they will be out of business today. They will have no business. So for me, these are moments that really makes me happy. Like, I'm so proud and I'm really excited. And the client too is also excited that, they listen to us.
They chose the right partner.
Yes, they chose the right partner to walk this business journey with them. And they're so happy. So I'm just trying to say it's impacts like that really make me...
What was the journey like to setting up Lefort? What were you like aiming to solve? I mean, you finished school.
Yeah.
Came out, got you star students. Yes, I mean, like,
yeah,
I did my homework. You were an FICO. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, was it like same passion that drove you to study that still drove you to start what you're doing right now?
Yes, I would say yes, it's the same passion. I've done business all my life.
Oh, really?
Yes, my mom is a businesswoman. She still has a very thriving business at the moment.
Okay.
So growing up, I was part of a business. I was part of it in every way. Yes, I made a lot of sacrifices to be part of our business and to help out with our business. So the point is that when I've had hands-on training on business throughout my lifetime. So studying, my first degree is in accounting. So studying accounting, it was just like I was building on that capacity. I was, expanding.
So, you already had business exposure before you went to university?
Yes.
Okay.
I had business exposure.
Did that give you an advantage?
I think it did. Okay. Because university was quite easy for me.
Oh.
Yes. I never took extra classes. I didn't stay in the hostel. I stayed at home throughout my university days. And by the way, I'll still help my mom with her business. So back then in university, I would never make a class that starts by 8 a.m. Why? Because 8 a.m. I'm in the shop, in my mom's place of business. I'm helping her set up. So it's after I do that, I'll dress up, I'll change my clothes, then I'll go to the university. So yeah.
So that formed your understanding of business from what it takes to like grow a small SME.
Yes.
And then now you're consulting for multinationals and being able to also understand it from a global level.
Absolutely. That contributed to it.
But you spoke about the various macros that are currently affecting businesses. And and I think for me, one of the goals of this episode is actually to help like small, medium businesses. I'm not necessarily thinking of, we'll talk about the big businesses, but I think like small, medium businesses who don't really have access to a consultant like yourself. They might feel like, what do I need to do? They are saying this dollar thing, I'm having dollar exposures. What are some, can you walk us through like your thinking when you see small, medium businesses and how they should navigate this season of economic uncertainty? Do you think there are certain things they can put in place, or are they just helpless?
So now, no, you're not helpless.
Okay. Okay.
If you're an SME, please, you're not helpless. In
Okay.
fact, let me bring good tidings. And
Okay.
thank God we are in
The Christmas period
we're in
right
the
now.
Christmas period.
I'm recording
So
this, yeah.
yes, I'm bringing good tidings to you. And trust me, this is the best time for your business. I know that sounds absurd. Wait a minute, I'm going to explain it.
Okay.
Yes, I know it sounds absurd, but I've done a lot of research, and I realized that most of the thriving companies that you see today, I mean worldwide, they were birthed, or will I say they truly found their purpose during economic downturn. Yes. And I think it makes sense, because if you are able to wade through the most stormy moments of your life, so that means that when there's a swift sail, you will do better. So I think that makes a lot of sense. However, how are they able to do it? First of all, I normally would advise every business owner, entrepreneurs right now, SMEs, that you need to have a mind shift from whatever you're saying or whatever is going on around you. I know that there has been a huge devaluation when it comes to naira, which has had a ripple effect on the cost of doing business. Not just that, the subsidy removal as well has led to an increase, a significant increase in the price of fuel that we've never experienced before in our lives in Nigeria.
Yes. That jump was a lot.
It was a lot.
Yes.
And transportation is key for every business. You know, even if you are service-based, your staff they will move from one side, from one point to another.
Yes.
So the point is that all those factors, they've had a ripple effect on the economy. And a lot of things are a bit tight right now. But I'm also saying that this is actually the best time for you to move your business forward. Now, how do you achieve that? First of all, you must have a mind shift. You must not continue to see the doom that is apparent or the way it appears to everybody. You need to see it as an opportunity for you to create a unique offer, or will I say identity, for your business. Right? In a way that will leapfrog you out of, this economic downturn. Let me try to be more practical with what I'm saying. So the point is that you have to be innovative. First of all, you need to ask yourself, what do my customer want in this moment? Like at a point like this, what do they want? And you must be able to adjust your offering to what they want. And you must be able to give them that offer in a way that, adds value to them and also adds value to you. Let me tell you another thing also that I have realized within this period that we've experienced economic downturn. For businesses that have products that truly works and are necessities, right? They are still making money.
Yes.
They are still making a lot of money. So over time, what I've seen is that a lot of businesses, they are selling half-baked products. And that's why when there are economic downturns like this, which affects the purchasing power of every citizen, right? That's why your product is the first one that they drop, or your service is the first one that is being dropped.
It's been dropped.
And that's because you've not positioned yourself, or you've not positioned your business as that business that really solves their problem, in a way that, let me say, no other product can. And that's why you are easily dismissed. Or they look for alternative or substitute for you. right? So I tell people this, in Lefort, we've never lost a client. And people are like, how is that possible? Yes, it's possible. Because you see, for us at Lefort, the guiding principle we have is that when we take a client's job, we give you the best experience that you could ever have. So when you have that kind of experience, where are you going to? You have no other place. Like, you have no reason to look for other options. That's my point. You have no other reasons. And they see the impact that we make on their business. It's not just, oh, we just want you to get our audit done, or we want you to do our taxes. It's beyond that.
That can be done by anybody.
Exactly. What we've done is to position ourselves as that business finance partner that they need for the business to continuously thrive. We have CEOs that will call us from time to time to say, please, I'm in this mix. What do you think I should do? And we give them, we advise them, we lead them on the things to do. And it's for us also, it's very important that we are helping you make money. Not just that you pay us, but that we help you make more of it, based on the kind of business advisory that we give to you and things like that. So bottom line, my point is that SMEs, you must have that mind shift to see the doom as an opportunity for you to be innovative with your business. If you are able to achieve that, then you will come out strong. Now, let me give you one example, Netflix. Netflix, you see this Netflix idea that every one of us are celebrating today. It was actually bettered during an economic downturn in the US.
Yeah.
Before they started Netflix, the structure they have now, what they were doing before is for you to rent a DVD via email.
Yes.
And for the longest time, they held on to that idea until they experienced this economic downturn when they realized that their services at that point in time was not a priority to a lot of people. So they saw their sales decline and they're like, okay, sorry, is this how this company is going to go down? And it was in that moment that they thought about it and they're like, no, we think we can provide this service in a better way. And they went after investors, that gave them more money. That was when they started developing this Netflix brilliant, mind-blowing idea that we all celebrate today. And you know what I've realized? Because that was bettered from a place of pain. Most of the time, when you bet things from a place of pain, it normally will have depth, right? And it will have a stronger conviction for you to make it work. That's what I've realized, or that's something I've observed over time, in my life. Now, do you realize that there are other streaming platforms as well, but all of them, they are trying to catch up?
Yes.
And the truth is that they can never catch up. It's just the reality. They can never catch up because Netflix has this worldwide acceptance in a way that none of them can compete with. And Netflix is definitely not resting on their horse as well. You can see the way they are being creative with their content and with the kind of movies that they put out there. And not just that, they've also solved a major problem. Remember, I told you that when you bet things from a place of pain, it's usually deeper. Now, they've solved something, which is they realized that during economic downturns, of course, the purchasing power reduces.
Yes.
So they created a product that even when there's economic downturn, it will not, like you discarding their products, will not be one of the things you need to choose from because they've made it very affordable.
True.
I think the cheapest subscription right now, I think it's like 2005.
Yes, 1.5 actually.
But the point is that it's very affordable. Even with the economic downturn in Nigeria, do you think people are unsubscribing? Nobody is unsubscribing.
Yeah, it's just there as a recurring fee.
It's a recurring fee. Why? Because they thought about that product from a place of pain. They saw what economic downturn did to their business model at that point in time. And they're like, no, we are going to create a product that is recession-proof and economic downturn-proof. And trust me, they achieved that.
So that means it's more like a call to innovation a call to reinvention of your business model. I like to think about it as a call to reimagining your place in the world. And I think that's what a lot of businesses, from what you've said, I think that's what a lot of businesses need to do from this end. But now, in terms of reimagining your products, and I think the next thing that my question will go to is processes, right? Typically, I think the finance function is a very esoteric function. It's not something that anybody comes born with. Even the people in the space, there are still some things that you guys still find complex because it's just numbers and sheets and. But to me as a business owner, what can I do to at least help myself before? What are some pillars I need to put in place as a form of for my corporate finance or my finance function in a way that I can be at least resilient enough to survive through any downturn or any upturn, and even possible to scale?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's a question that I think relates to most businesses that we have in Nigeria. And you see, what you just said is one of the reasons that businesses that are somewhat successful in Nigeria don't get to scale.
Why?
They make money, but they don't become global brands. Fundamentally, over and over, what I've seen from my interaction, I've interacted with a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs. I do that for a living, so I interact with a lot on a daily basis, is that they don't communicate with their business. So see, an average businessman, especially an Igbo man, he knows how he calculates his profits.
Yes.
And as far as you're not doing it the right way, as far as you're not putting pen to paper, as far as the numbers are not being crunched, as far as analysis is not being done, right? Whatever you know as a business person is limited. And you cannot compare it with the insights that you will gain by having, a proper analysis being done for you in your business. And that's why I said that they are not communicating properly with their business. Because the truth is that I think in every relationship as well, when there's effective communication, the relationship thrives, right? It's the same thing with business. If you communicate effectively with your business will thrive effortlessly. But if you see yourself struggling with your business, you're not communicating well. Like there's no effective communication with your business, basically. Now, how do you achieve this? So I said, I see a lot of business owners, they know how to do their calculation. In fact, they try to tell you, I've been in this business for how many years? The truth is that's why you're not scaling. Yes, you're making money, but you're dancing in circles. You're unable to grow beyond, let's say you have 10 locations or things like that. Who told you cannot be more? We see a lot of multinationals, they come to Nigeria, right? Why are you not thinking of the same thing? Most of the time, you're unable to think about scaling out because you don't have proper structures and processes in place for your business. Also, you are not doing the numbers right as well in your business. There's something about processes, and so this is another thing people don't know also. If you are communicating well, if you do the numbers well in your business, right, there are some insights that would even help you drive the kind of process and structure you should have in place.
Can you expand on that a bit?
So, for example, let me say you've done an analysis of your, let's say, revenue, right? And you try to do the proper analysis, like defining what is the demographics of your customers, their location, how well are you meeting their needs and things like that. If you have insights about this kind of things, that will drive the kind of controls you put in place when it comes to your sales teams, sales team, in a way that will make your customers to want to keep patronizing your business over and over. And you know that if you are able to retain high retention of your customer, then it's inevitable that your business is going to grow.
Yes.
But if you are not keeping tabs of that, and that's what happened to that. I think I'll use the restaurant business for an example. So people are usually deceived, especially if you just start a restaurant business, you have a beautiful ambience and things like that. Of course, people want to visit the latest spots in town. So you may enjoy a lot of patronage in the first year. And you may think that, oh God, I've built a powerful business. Not knowing that why people are actually patronizing you is just out of curiosity, right? Now, if you're paying attention to the numbers in your business, that's how you'll be able to know if truly you're able to meet the needs of your customer and what is your retention rates. Because you see, as I said, the retention rate is what will determine how fast you will grow. And that's why sometimes you see restaurant business 1 year, they are alive, or 2 years, they are alive. In the 3rd year, it has dwindled. People have moved. And you'll be wondering, is it that our food is not sweet? You are late to the party. When you were supposed to be looking at those numbers, to be trying to understand, how to make sure that you keep your customers, you build a loyal customer base, you weren't doing that. And as I said, is when you look at your numbers, that this will speak to you. So people sometimes see, just looking at your revenue patterns, just going to look at your bank statement. I'm not even talking about something technical here. Just go and look at your bank statements. Go and see the kind of people, see their names. How often do you see a name repeat on your bank statements? The moment you are seeing different names all the time, especially if you're in retail business, to a large extent, you should be worried that something is not right. Right. And that's why I say you need to look at the details. They always say the devil is in the details, right? Yes, it is in the details. And that's why your numbers are very, very key. You need to be looking at them.
Well, from what you're saying, it sounds more like it's even beyond just an accounting function here now. It's more like a business advisory function that you're even bringing about.
Yes, that's what I'm bringing about. But typically, right, you always narrow it down from the accounting function. Because management, most of the time, what they want to see is how much did we make? What is our profit? What's the margin? Right? Yes. So ideally, you're not supposed to dive deeper. Yes, you have to dive deeper. So we made these sales from who? Where's the sales coming from? These are the questions you should be asking. Don't just look at the rounded figures. We've made 1 billion. Good, glory to God. However, where is it coming from? Who are our customers? Who are the loyal customers that are making this business thrive or things like that? The point is that you have to be inquisitive. But typically, see, if you don't do your accounting, most of the time, it's difficult for you to even ask all these questions. So what people don't know is that I know that your intuition as a business owner is strong. And most of the time, I also advise them, sometimes go with your intuition, go with your gut, right? But you see, a more reassuring way of making decisions is when you see things clearly on black and white. There's this subconscious ability that it unlocks in you. There is this creativity that even you don't know that you possess, that it unlocks in you until you see it. If you've never tried before, please try it after watching this podcast and tell me about your feedback. I'm not joking.
What should we try?
Look at the numbers in your business. If you've never done it before, for the first time, try and get the numbers in your business done. What do I mean? Even if it's just the normal financial statement, the profit or loss accounts, your balance sheet. Let me use old terminologies that people are familiar with. Don't let me go all technical. Your cash flow statements, just look at it in details. Spend some time with it. Look at it continuously. Don't read it as if you are reading a novel, right? Study it. It's going to unlock some insight, as I said, some ability that even you did not know that you possess. I've seen this play out over and over and over and over with different business owners that we've helped to achieve that. And they are doing better right now. In fact, let me tell you, this one, it didn't end on a good note, but the truth is that it helped them to realize what they were doing. So I remember that there was this startup, they just brought us in. They knew that they were not making money, and they were willing to invest, right? But they brought us in and said, oh, help us with our books every month, help us with our numbers and that. So by the time we did the books in the first month, I think in the first month, and we submitted it to the management, the first thing, when they saw it, they just multiplied it by 12, and they're like, wait, so you're saying that if we continue at this pace, that means that the loss we'll make at the end of this year will be 50 million. I'm like, yes, based on your performance this month, that's what it says. Immediately, they started re-strategizing. Now, remember, before they brought us in, they knew they were not going to make money. They had prepared their mind that they were going to be making losses. Do you understand? Because it was a new idea that they were trying to push to the market. So they knew that for some time they will not make money. But what they did not know is how much money
are they going to be losing?
But the moment they saw this on paper, trust me, it ignited something in their senses. They re-strategized. They looked for alternatives to some of their operating costs, And by the end of the third month, they were breaking even. Is that not a better place to be?
Yeah.
At least if you're not making money, at least you should not be losing money. And they were able to bring the business, they were able to make the business to break even by the third month. Now, as I said, if they did not see that on black and white,
see the numbers.
If they did not see the numbers analyzed and staring right there into their eyes, they wouldn't have made that decision.
What are some key numbers key information? Are there top level information that an SME person to say, okay, I'm going to call someone to come audit my books? What should they be looking out for in those particular reports that will be easily understandable to them? What are some key metrics that they should be looking out for?
The first one is the actual profits. So most of the time, SMEs, owners, they truly don't know the actual profit that they are making in their business because they don't take into consideration a lot of things, probably because they've paid for it upfront. Like rents, since in a place like Nigeria, you pay your rents upfront. A year in advance. So when they are doing their own analysis, they don't include the rents, or things like their communication costs. They don't think about that. So sometimes they don't know the true state of their business. They only know the partial state of their business, but not the true state of your business. So knowing your actual profits is important. Knowing your gross profit also is very, very important. I think for me, for SMEs, the major thing that I know SMEs don't pay attention to is their cash flow. We have something called the cash flow statement. That's one statement that a lot of businesses don't pay attention to.
I always hear cash flow. What does that mean?
So it's just a statement that is trying to explain to you the cash that came in and went out of your business and what you have remaining to run your business. That's the summary of a cash flow statement. We know that cash is king and cash is the lifeline of any business that wants to continue to be in business. Because the moment you don't have cash, that means you're unable to meet your present obligation. And that will pose a great threat to the existence of your business. So you don't want to be in that situation whereby you don't have cash, enough to run your business. So that's the good thing about this cash flow also. It shows you where your money is going to. So I hear a lot of business owners, a lot of my business owners say, I keep making money, but I don't know where it's going into. I'm sure this is not the first time you're hearing that. They said they're making money, but they don't know where it's going into. The cash flow statement will tell you how you're making your money and where it is going to. Glaringly, you will see how you're spending your money.
And then you'll be able to make the necessary adjustments.
See, you don't even need a consultant at that point in time to tell you the kind of adjustment to make. Because the moment you see it, trust me, as I said, the hidden genius in you that you did not know will come to life. We come to life.
Wow. I mean, now that you're saying these things, I actually do agree, because every single time I receive my management reports in my business, it stirs up a fire in me that I never knew existed. Because the moment I see, wait, is this how we are performing? No, 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 no. It's no. I wake up. I
Right.
wake up. I do agree. But what other? Are there any other metrics that you should look out for again? You spoke about cash flow.
Yes.
You spoke about actual profits.
Yes.
And revenue.
Yes.
Are there any other ones that I should say, you might want to pay attention to this?
So I'm trying not to use technical terms.
Okay. I mean,
I'm trying to simplify.
Maybe we'll learn taking account as you teach us. We'll try, please.
Okay, so there's something we call the burnout rate. You know, and that's just trying to measure how quick the business is able to spend the money that is made. Right? And that's something that business owners also need to pay attention to. To ensure that, as I said, they don't run out of cash in their business. You need to pay attention to it. And I realized that a lot of startups, they fall prey of what I'm talking about. Now, maybe because I think some startup founders as well, it's not as if they've had any prior business experience.
Yeah.
I think they just see a problem and they want to solve it. So the point is that the drive on their own part is just to solve a problem, not necessarily to be a business manager. you know. So but it's something, and especially for startups that raise money as well, they normally they could easily fall prey of this as well. So I've experienced this firsthand. I once worked with a company, and we raised $1 million for a company, and that company liquidated within a year.
Why?
The burnout rates. The burnout rate was faster than the rates at which they were making money. See, at the end of the year, they had not even secured any major contracts.
Wow.
And they still maintained that high burnout rates. So, in my own opinion, they forgot that they were startups. The moment they raised money, they went after people that had certificates, that studied in Ivy League schools, that may not necessarily even have the kind of expertise or experience that they want at that point in time. Because trust me, it's a different ballgame for someone that has worked with a multinational and for that same person to be working with a startup. They are completely different.
What are some of the mistakes you observe
in that company?
Yeah, in that decision making, because I see it happen a lot. People try to bring fancy degrees to come build from scratch, and it often ends in disappointment.
Yes, it will end in disappointment because the business environment for a multinational is different from that of a startup. For a startup, you need professionals that, first of all, understand the business environment that you're operating in. They understand the technique needed. They are ready to do the hard work because, pushing a startup is harder than pushing an already existing or established brand. The level of effort required differs.
True.
So if you bring someone that is not used to that kind of, and for startups also, there's a lot of complexities. There are a lot of things that you've not even factored, like you've not figured out.
Yes.
You've not figured it out.
A lot of uncertainties.
There are too many. But in an established brand, a lot of things are already figured out. There are templates that work. There are processes, systems in place that it's just plug and play.
True.
They've created their plug and play. For a startup, there's no plug and play. So if you're bringing someone that is used to structure to a structureless organization, that person will find it hard to exist in that kind of environment. Because the truth is that they don't have that experience. The experience that they have is to work with a structured organization, not with yours, which is a startup. So most of the time, that's not the kind of people that you need. That's not the kind of people. And because sometimes, and the truth also is that they come at a high cost. That a startup, I think sometimes startups just forget the fact that they are startups. Like you just started. You just started. Yes, we know that you've raised $1 billion. Fantastic. We are happy for you. But hello, you just started business.
Yes, you just actually started.
Yeah. So what that means is that you need to follow, and you cannot beat process.
Yeah.
So you need to go through your process. And go through your process with professionals that, are first of all willing to go through that process with you as well. And they have the expertise that you need at that point in time to be able to build your startup. And at the same time, they would not increase your burnout rate unreasonably. That's very key. I said this company, I said we raised $1 million for. That was what killed the company. And this happened about 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yes, it's not something recent. Yes, about 10 years ago. And, the point is, if you see the people that they employed, yes, if you read their emails, absolute Queen's English, very polished. But the point is that what you needed at that point in time?
Not at all.
And the truth is that most of the time in this part of the world, those polished English don't help you they don't help you close deals. You have to do more. And they were not willing to do more because they're coming from abroad, whereby when they send the email, they do the cold emailing, they reach out, they're able to close deals. They don't know that in Nigeria, for you to close deals, you need to go the extra miles. So that's what they kept doing. And I said, at the end of the year, they were out of money. And their investors at that point in time, they did not see them being able to revive, the company. Although the truth is that the company and what they were doing, the product they were selling was actually, I remember then I felt like, oh God, I wish I was the one that had the opportunity, since I've always been an entrepreneur all my life.
Yeah.
So trust me, when I was working and this company came on, but I'm like, wow, this is such a fantastic idea, because it is. They got a franchise for a particular product that was just becoming popular in Nigeria. At that time. So you can imagine there was a huge market for it. There was. But the point is they did not manage the finances well.
In 2019, you did a tour across 12 different states, apparently.
Yes, 12 different states.
For different... You're shocked that I know?
Yes.
Are you
I'm shocked that you know.
My team actually does a lot of research.
Oh.
Even me, when they told me, I didn't really know. I was like, she did a tour? She went around dealing with SMEs. And what were some of the challenges you observed that the SMEs were facing at that time? And has there been like improvements? Are there particular things that you see, mistakes you still see them making till now, that has stopped them from growing from SMEs? Because we know that the SMEs are actually what builds a nation.
Correct.
Right. But we really don't see a lot of people necessarily having very thriving ones. They easily get affected. Yeah. What are some of the mistakes that you observed? That's going 12 states a lot.
Yes. Now that you mentioned it, the memories are coming back. It was a lot. I remember then that sometimes I return back home in the morning, in the evening, I pick up my bags, I'm on the next flight.
Wow.
Yes.
What were you trying to do?
See, we were a team.
Okay.
And we're trying to just teach SME owners how to manage the finances in their business.
Wow.
Also teach them some business strategies. Just provide the support that we thought could help them be better at their business. And that was like the aim of, the tour at that point in time. And I think this is the first thing that I noticed, that most of the SMEs that we met, they became entrepreneurs accidentally. It wasn't because it was their passion. It wasn't because that's what they wanted to do. So I remember that during my tours, I would first speak to that yes, I know that some of you, if you're given the options, you don't want to run your own business, but the society or the environment you found yourself as giving you, it appears like that's the only option that you have, right? And since you've decided to do this, it would be best for you to be in it 100%. Because most of the time, what I see is that focus is not there. That focus is not there.
That's powerful.
Yes, that the focus is not there. And that's why you see SMEs owners today, they are doing this. Tomorrow, they've moved to another business. They are just changing businesses like a chameleon, and you're wondering, okay, yesterday I thought this was what you were doing. Why are you doing this today? So I realized that was like the underlining factor for most of them. And I told them that, see, if you want to make significant progress in your business, that focus has to be there. You need to make up your mind 100% and say, this is what I want to do. I will give it my all. I will give it my best shot. When you make that decision, then success will be inevitable. So I remember that I always said to that. The next thing I saw also that I, from that tour, was that zero financial management skills. They didn't have the business skills. They didn't know how to manage the money in their business. They didn't know how to grow a small amount of money to something big. And that's something I learned from my mother. My mother, she grew a tiny sum, to hundreds of millions.
Wow.
So my point here is that I realized that a lot of SMEs don't understand financial management, and that is the bedrock. I think I've been saying that that's the bedrock for any business. If you want to really give your business a shot at succeeding, understanding financial management is a must. And crunching the numbers in your business is a must, because that's usually that's like the illumination, or that's the numbers in your business will serve as the illumination that you need to be able to see your business in the right light, to be able to communicate well, and to be able to adjust certain things in your business that will enable it to grow.
First of all, even going back to what you spoke about earlier, which is the fact that a lot of people are entrepreneurs by consequence, they really don't care about entrepreneurship, but they must just survive, right? They just want to make the best of their lives and just trying to make the best of their situations. And that has affected the mindset and the approach that a lot of people take towards entrepreneurship, especially in this part of the world. And I think that's a big problem on its own. But then coming to financial management, I mean, your mom grew her small business to where it is today, to hundreds of millions. And the question is, and there are lots of testimonies I've seen like that, because you've seen a lot of, there's this Akara house they call it. I don't know if you saw it, you've heard of it in Southwest.
Right.
I don't know what state that they say woman build the house by selling Akara.
Yes, it's
and
possible.
So we have a lot of those old stories around people that did not necessarily go to school.
Right.
And they were able to still have some financial common sense. But nowadays, it's almost like I don't know if it's to say we are making excuses for this, because what did they know? What are some practices that the old timers had that you see SMEs currently lacking that could have helped them to, because I know one of the things they had was thrift. They were very, very, they didn't spend money anyhow. What are some of those things that you've observed?
Delayed gratification. But not to say that there were not, we had entrepreneurs also in the old also that were not successful, quite a number of them as well.
Fair enough.
Yes, so I think that's a constant. But I think one of the things that is lacking at the moment is delayed gratification. People want to eat their cake and stay habits, you know. And the moment people make a little amount of money, they're not thinking of expanding. They're thinking of, I want to enjoy life. I want to be more comfortable. I don't have anything wrong with that. But in a bid to do that, sometimes or most times they eat their seed, you know, when they are not supposed to. Because the seed, you have to sow it back to the ground, you have to plant it back so that it can grow and it can yield more fruits. So they eat their seed, you know, not just their profits now. Remember, I told you they're not even communicating with their business. They don't even know what their actual profit is. So they just assume. So they end up eating their seed and the profit as well. And indirectly, they run the business. They run the business aground, and they now have challenges as well to stay afloat and things like that. I think for me, one thing I'll tell businesses is that make sure you don't put yourself in a position that you're cash trapped. It's a terrible place for any business to be cash strapped. It's a terrible business. See, it's okay if you're not making profit, but make sure you're not cash strapped. Like you must be able to manage the cash in your business, because you see, that's the only thing that will guarantee that you'll be able to make more. Without it, there's a higher tendency that you'll not be able to make more, and that will be the end of your business. Now, you also mentioned something, please.
What was that?
It's something I've always voiced out anytime I have the opportunity.
Which is?
I think development agencies need to approach how they want to support entrepreneurs differently. Over and over, I don't know if they're looking at the data as well. I don't know if they're looking at it, but they will see over and over that their approach is not highly effective. Typically, what we see is that they'll say, oh, we are providing grants. You give entrepreneurs this money. 2 years, 5 years, you give them the money thinking that it's just money that they need. Yes, I agree that some of them, they need money. But you see, when you give people money that without structure, without supervision, abuse is inevitable, especially for someone that has been hungry for the longest time.
That's true.
He will first fill his belly. In fact, not just fill his belly. He would eat and drink to stupor before he thinks about the business. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that it's okay for development agencies to say they want to support entrepreneurs, support business owners. You want to give them more funding so that they have, because that's always the first thing. Why are SMEs not growing? Lack of funding, that's the first thing. And development agencies, the next thing they want to do is just pour the money in. Most of the time, if you look at the statistics very well, 2 out of 10 are able to really utilize that money and make something substantial out of it. Now, why don't they think about this approach that I'm about to talk about? Because I told you financial management is very key. If you give a reckless person, let's say you give the person 1 million and he's reckless. If you give him 10 million, 100 million, what's he going to do?
More reckless.
He'll be more reckless. You've just empowered him. So the point is, you've not solved the problem. Yes, we know that funding is also a challenge, but you see, it doesn't necessarily solve the problem, because most of these entrepreneurs, they lack financial management knowledge and understanding.
Do you think it's something that has to do with our culture and our people? Or do you think it has to do with, because sometimes I feel like, is it a cultural thing?
I think to some extent our culture also plays a huge part in this, because I know that these development agencies, what they do is they try to see what has worked in another country, then they try to replicate the same thing, in your country. Let me tell you a story. I went to I was at INSEAD, the Business School of the World, in 2019 at Fontainebleau, and I met this lady, and I told her about the techie accountant idea. Trust me, she was the only one that understood and appreciated the work that I was doing. And she took the opportunity to share the work that she did in the Republic of Congo. That was when they had just ended the war. For the longest time,
They've been at war.
Yes, they've been at war. And she talked about the fact, because she's also a financial person, she said what she realized, that she wrote the proposal to World Bank, she got the funding. They will provide funding to these small businesses, but at the same time, they created She also trained people like accountant, finance people, finance professionals, right? To be able to help these businesses manage their books. So, meaning that anytime they needed to make any financial decisions, they had people that had the right knowledge on board that were helping them. And she told me that for the first time, the success rate was higher. I mean, in terms of the businesses succeeding, because typically after a few months, they would have run out of money. Remember that they are hungry. They would have run out of money. But because they didn't just give them that funding, right? They created a structure around that funding. Now, most of the time, I know that these development agencies, that's when they will say they want to train the entrepreneurs, they want to teach them about financial management and things like that. But let's be real. How much can they learn in a class that happens in a day or 2 days or 3 days? Accountants go to school for 4 years in the university. After that, it's as if it's not enough. For you to become chartered, you still go through another stressful process. So the point is that accountants understand financial management because they've been properly trained. How do you expect to be able to replicate that same knowledge for an entrepreneur, within 2 hours or 4 hours? Let's even some even used to do 1 week. How do you think you'll be able to replicate that same knowledge? So the point is that method is not effective. I'm sorry, it's my own opinion. I've seen it over and over. It's not effective. What I would advise that they do henceforth is that, yes, you're giving them money, but you see, partner also with financial consulting firms that you will attach to these businesses that will be like, will I say, the fractional CFOs for these businesses. And you pay them part of the funding that you are giving to the business, you will see that there will be a higher success rate because they have people that are informed on board. Other than just giving them all the money. And after a long while, you're unable to, you don't achieve the desired goal. The target is not being achieved.
That's a very, very, very interesting perspective, really, to this problem. Because I would have never thought about the fact that we are trying to make something happen that is not, and we are not adopting these strategies. Because then the next question I was going to talk about was, I see this also with the startups, VC funding coming into African startups, lots of bad behavior.
Correct.
Lots of unreasonable spending. I won't call it misappropriation, but I would say misappropriation is the only word that comes to mind. What are your thoughts about how VCs and startups are structuring their relationships, and what better way what better controls can they put to make this more effective for our markets?
Yeah, I think 10 years ago the VC market was not very popular. When I was writing my ACCA, which is about 12 years ago, I remember that we were being taught about venture capitalists. It all sounded theoretical.
Foreign.
It didn't feel like something that was happening, right? Until, of recent, in the last 5 years, 6 years, I think that buzz has been there, and VC is becoming a thing, and people are even venturing more into venture capital now. Now, I remember that when they started as well, I know my voice is not that loud, but the way that it had been structured, I knew that it was a boom, and eventually it's going to bust. The way it was presented by the venture capitalists, and I understand their line of thought as well, which is they wanted anybody that had the idea and was willing to put in the work, to be able to have access to funding. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you see, I'm not a psychologist, but there's some fundamental psychological behavior generally about human beings. If most of the time, for most human beings, let me put it that way, if you give them something without putting a structure in place that ensures accountability, they will most likely abuse it. I know that business is supposed to be based on trust, it's supposed to be based on ideals, but the reality is that it's a scarce commodity, especially in the business world. It's a scarce commodity. So the moment I saw the model they were using, I knew that it's a boom and it will soon bust. And I think they're at that point at the moment, right? Because what happened was that everybody, anybody that just had an idea, they felt like, yes, let me put it together. They get people that can put together a sweet pitch deck for them with the numbers, with the aggregations and things like that. And I remember then also that venture capitalists also, they were not prioritizing if you are defined your revenue model.
Yeah.
And if you are even able to make money off that revenue model. So they were looking away from that. And I'm like, okay, it's just a matter of time. So what has happened over time is that there are a lot of businesses. In fact, from the get-go, there are some startups that I knew from the get-go. The moment they started, I knew that they were not going to succeed. Yes. Because I don't want to say, there's actually one that is very popular that people close to me, I talk about it all the time. And they're like, why do you say this? I said, see, are they not struggling? But I don't want to say that so that I don't get sued. So I would be saying that. But my point is that venture capitalists venture capitalists, they need to restructure how they provide funding to startups. They need to create a structure whereby there's accountability. And I mean, when I mean accountability, not at the tail end. And also, accountability can be created in a way that does not stifle the startup or the founder. Because I know that that's something also that has to be balanced. No founder, of course, all of us, we don't want a situation whereby it's as if we are a puppet and there's someone that is behind us at every point in time telling us we should go this way, we should go that way. No, see, they need to create a structure whereby the founders are still able to exhibit their independence, but within a structure that allows for accountability and transparency. I think, let me add that. Transparency on the goal. And that's why I would say that if they have a trusted advisor that they could bring on board, with the startups, or if a startup can ensure that they always have a trusted advisor on board to guide them. Because I said, most of the startups founders, they've never done business in their life. In fact, they've never been exposed to business. And you having an idea and being able to create a product or a service out of it, yes, that's fantastic. That's one side to it when it comes to business. But the other side is, how do we make money? How do we make money? And while we are still trying to figure out how we make money, how do we ensure that we don't run out of money? So these are specific expertise that most founders do not have at that point in time.
So are there some financial controls or fitness tips that you can give to any founder watching this now that he needs to do in order for him to not die? What are some financial controls I should put in place so that I don't go out of business currently? I mean, I have a lot of money. I received $1 million now, and we else have been surviving, but what are some controls I can put in place?
Okay, I think the first thing is, if you're trying to set up your team, make sure you have a trusted advisor on board. Now, even if you received a lot of funding, you're not spending all the money at once. That money is supposed to be invested. So, and not just lay fallow in your bank accounts. Because if it's in your bank accounts, that means you're just enriching the bank while you are losing money. Because for every day you have money in your accounts that is not being used, you're losing value on the money. So it makes sense that you are able to invest part of this money. Now, what would inform the fraction that will be invested is based on, the strategy, the analysis, the financial projection that you've done. Now, another thing I see startup founders do is that when they want to do financial projections, they just gotta make a financial consultant that will put together something that is not practical. If you want to do this right, You need financial projections that are practical, that speaks to your reality, that speaks to your today, and that speaks to your short-term plans as well, to help you structure that funding very well. So that, in fact, in ahead of time, you are able to know that by this time, this is what we'll have, or this is what we have remaining, or this is the amount we would have made. And at that point in time, also, maybe you give yourself like a 3 months. You need to go and revisit your performance again. We said, based on our forecast, we said we should have made this amount of money. Have we made this amount of money? If not, are we close to it? If we are far from it, what happened? That's, you need to start troubleshooting until you get to the root cause and you are able to solve, the problem. And yes, another thing I will tell them is that your costs, you need to put an eye on your costs. This is not the time for you to be extravagant with your spending. This is the time for you to bend down, dip your head into your work, and make sure that your startups succeed. First thing you must prioritize is a revenue model that works, not the one you perceive would work. That's very key. You must be able to, at least the first 3 months, get one customer to be certain that this thing, okay, people will actually pay for it. Now, when I say get one customer, I'm not talking about your friends and family, because they'll be biased. They will buy regardless to make you happy, and they will support you. But you need to have at least a stranger that doesn't know you from Adam say that, oh, I love this. It solves my problem. I'm going to pay for this. Then when that happens, you know that you're on to something. But the moment you're finding it hard to make sales, you must start thinking of pivoting. Stop forcing what is not working. It's not every idea that is ready in every country. There are some business ideas that thrive very well in the Western world. They will not thrive in our region because of our own peculiarities, because of our own environmental conditions. So, and most of the time, when you're coming up with the idea, sometimes we are blinded to these things until you are implementing and you get to see. My point is that if it's not working, start thinking of pivoting. It's very important. I know of a friend that did that, and his company is doing extremely good at the moment. In fact, at the moment, his company has even purchased a microfinance bank. Yes, that's how well. But that was not the business idea that he started with. But when he went into the market and he started implementing, he realized that, oops, I'm not going to make money out of this. He pivoted. It took a lot of work. Let me tell you something. Trust me, everything I'm saying, it's not going to be easy. They are not easy things to do, but you must be committed to hard work. That's very, very important. You must get comfortable doing hard things for you to be able to succeed and to be able to, thrive and lead your startup to a place of unicorn status.
The work that you do, one of the major impact work you do, well, I won't say it's only impact but I know that a large part of it is impact for you because you have your consulting business, is techie accountants. And basically, the name alone tells the story. What were you trying to achieve with that, and what gap did you see amongst people of your profession that you're trying to address with that?
So the first time I was inspired about the techie accountant, which is a social enterprise, was during my days of trying to get a job. Even with my good grades from university, being chartered at a very young age, UK chartered, I felt like I should be able to get job. Like getting a job should be easier at that point in time, but the reality was different. It was difficult. And then I thought about it. I'm like, okay, if it's just difficult for me to get a job, what about people that they don't even have good grades? Like I did. They don't even have the professional certification as well yet. What's going to be their fate? As if that was not enough, then when I now started my consulting firm, I now saw that there was a huge gap between the kind of skill and competence needed in the practical world and what was being taught in the school. And that was when I said, We're supposed to canvass for educational reforms. Yes. While we are canvassing for that, whatever I can do in my own little capacity, I would do. So I remember that I started the techie accountant just a year after I started the consulting firm. And a lot of people then asked me, how much are you making that you already have an NGO? It's people that are rich that starts an NGO. Like, how much are you making that you have this already? And I remember telling them that I believe that you can make an impact at every stage of your life. You don't have to wait till when you are a billionaire before you start doing impact work. Even right now, at the stage that you are, you can, still do that impact work that you desire. And that was what influenced the techie accountants. And come the fact also that technology is changing the way every professional is working. Like, it's not just affecting the accounting profession. It cut across every sector and every profession as well. And I saw that when it comes to our rate of adaptation in this part of the world is a bit slow, maybe because of the level of exposure and things like that. And that was why I said, no, the techie accountants will be at the forefront of the technology changing the way we work in the accounting and finance industry, whereby we are able to help finance professionals to upskill with the knowledge, the competency that is required of them to be able to compete on a global scale. For me, I've always looked at the global world as my competition, not a fellow professional that we are in the same locality or we are in the same country. No. And that's something also that influences the work that we do also, which is it has to be global standard. And for everybody that passes through the academy, if they're listening to this podcast, they will also agree with me that this is something I say to them. At least this is an idea that I implant in your mind, that you do not see yourself as a local professional. You should not just see a professional that exists in your locality, but you see yourself as a professional, that is called to serve the global market. And if you want to serve the global market, that means you must have global competence. Yes. So I preach this all the time.
But how do you see AI affecting the accounting industry and the career?
So the truth is that the impact of AI on the accounting profession is and would be enormous, because a lot of work we do when it comes to accounting has to do with a lot of repetitive tasks. And this is something that we know that computers are better at. And with AI, it's another ball game. In fact, they can do it better than how we humans would do it. And I totally agree with that, because trust me, doing those repetitive tasks are usually bored. They are usually boring to an accountant. Especially, for example, every finance professional will agree with me that they hate to do reconciliation. Reconciliation, I've not seen any finance professional that is happy to do reconciliation, but it has to be done. Because if you don't do reconciliation, you will not know where the loopholes are and how to fix it. You not know where the company is losing money or not. So these are important tasks to be done. However, they are boring and they are repetitive, because you do it maybe every month. You're doing it over and over and over and over and over and over. So the good thing is that with AI now, that can be automated. It can help you with your reconciliation. Yes, it gets to do about 90% of the work while you do the 10%. Of course, that will reduce the time that you spend on things like that. And typically also, we have there are a lot of bookkeepers than accountants, because as an accountant, it's beyond you just being able to impute those data. So you must be able to crunch those data, analyze it, and suggest recommendations to management. So I think that with the advent of AI, what it would do to the profession is to ensure that every accountant become an accountant in his true sense. Because when you take away the aspect of the work that has to do with data entry, data capturing, that means the only thing left for you to do is to be able to do the strategic part of the job, which is the main thing also that adds tremendous value to an organization. So I think the AI is just calling finance professionals to a higher purpose.
Which is?
Become a business partner, a finance business partner to the organizations that you serve.
Wow. Thank you very much, Toyin. I mean, it's been a very, very insightful conversation. I must say that anyone that has listened to this episode would have been very excited to listen to this episode. But I have some few questions for us to finish. It's kind of like a rapid response, easy questions to go ahead with. The first one is, if you could have dinner with any three people, living or dead, right now, who are they and why?
I love that question. The first person for me is Beyonce.
Beyonce?
Yes. When I had the opportunity.
Okay, I didn't see that coming.
You didn't see that coming. Yeah, I know. I'm full of surprises. So, our work ethic is unmatched. There's nobody that is on her league. Like, there's nobody like her. But yet, anytime she reappears, she sets a higher standard. I think that's just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. When I had the opportunity to attend a show in the US, I made sure I went to attend. Do you know why? I wanted to be sure that these things are real and they are not manipulated by technology. And I saw it. It was beautiful. It was magnificent. So don't mind me. I cannot say I'm even one of her huge fans, right?
But you just love her work ethic.
I love her work ethics because anytime she shows up, she's setting another new standard. Not the former standard you knew. She's setting the bar higher. And I think that is mind-blowing for me.
Second
I love
person.
that. The second person. Why are you asking me these questions? The second person is Dr. Ibukun Awoshika. That's one woman that I admire greatly. And the day I get to meet her, oh God. Yeah, so why do I admire her? She's someone that I've seen that has been able to successfully balance success, marriage, and family. And I admire that, deeply.
Deeply.
Yes, I admire that deeply.
Number 3.
What kind of hard question is this guy giving me like this? What did I do? What did I do?
The third person.
Okay. I think I've just been naming females. I might be
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong.
The third person, Elon Musk. His mind, the way his mind works, is something I cannot comprehend.
Yeah.
For someone that had the kind of background he had, the way he's able to come up with crazy ideas. And no matter how crazy it is, he makes sure it becomes a reality. And he thrives at it. And the thing also is that he's still not stopping. It's not stopping. So I'm really fascinated by his mind.
I think the next question is, if you could time travel, would you go to the past or the future?
I think there will be 2 sides.
You could only do one.
Oh no, please let me do 2. So if I would go back to the past, it would be because of my dad that is now late.
Okay.
Yes. Just to have some time with him again you know.
But the future?
The future is actually my answer because for me, the future is so bright, is extremely bright in a way that I don't even think I can comprehend it at the moment. But I'm grateful and I'm happy, to just walk through the process.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I think final question. If you could travel anywhere in the world, obviously with your lovely husband and your lovely daughter,
Yes.
where would it be? Where's your favorite vacation destination?
As a family, it's Dubai.
Alone.
Oh, alone?
Yes. What if alone?
Alone, I'll go to Singapore.
As a family, Dubai. Alone, you go to Singapore.
Yes, alone, I'll go to Singapore. As a family, I'll go to Dubai. But I think they both have something in common, which is when you get to these countries, you cannot afford to dream small.
I agree.
They force you to think big. You cannot afford to think small. Like instantly, even if your dreams just become so big at that point in time, and you feel that nothing is unachievable at that point in time. Those countries are really inspiring with what they've been able to achieve, they've been able to accomplish, despite their history, despite the challenges. And for me, they're so inspiring. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much. Like I like to call her Toyin of Lefort, Lefort Group. But yeah, I mean, and I really found this episode to be very interesting and to be very educational. I actually believe that everyone needs to watch this episode just because it will help transform the way they see their business, in the way they position their business, and in the way they position their products for the market that they currently play in. So, like, guys, as I told you in the beginning, it promised and it delivered. She came, she gave us answers from her years of experience working across industries, advising top captains of industries to navigate tough terrains of building from Africa. And indeed, it was an exceptional episode. So if you enjoyed it also, just like I did, please like, share, subscribe. If you want to follow her work, comment. In the comment section, you would find links to her website, her personal brand, her profile, and the work that she's doing. And I look forward to catching you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us.